Hello, footy fans, and welcome back to the Chip and Chase podcast. It's a Wednesday. Everything's a bit out of order at the moment. You know, obviously, the last week's games, the round 4 games, didn't conclude until the Monday. So everything's a bit out of whack. We're trying to get everything done. I'm a very busy bee. So this one, we're going to try and make shorter, but knowing me, that won't be the case. But we're just going to get through and try and do our Supercoach content today. Once again, if you guys are listening to this on an audio platform, this one's being recorded. We've got the face cam. We've got the footage of my team and everything that you can see up on the screen. So if you guys are more interested in seeing that as a visual learner, head over to the YouTube where this one will be uploaded with that video format. But if you guys are just watching on the YouTube, great to see you here. Thank you guys for watching me here. But we'll get right into it, eh? So as you can see on the screen, if you are watching as a video listener, as a video watcher, I suppose. You can see how I went for round 4 in Supercoach. Score of 1,021. So that ranked me in the top 26% of the round, which still got green arrows. We moved up 1,728 spots. So we're currently sitting at 21,885 out of 148,000 thereabouts teams. So ranked in the top 15% of all players at the moment in Supercoach. Really happy with that. It wasn't my best week. I think most weeks, obviously, besides round 1 where it's been it was awful, and any good Supercoach player would have ranked pretty low. We've moved up pretty well. I've been really happy with my scores. I'm still happy with this one. I managed to dodge the Trebojevic. I say dodge the Trebojevic. We'll get into that chat in a bit. I didn't dodge him. I didn't own him, so I couldn't captain him, which ended up being good because we know what happened in that game. I ended up captaining Roger Tuivasa-Sheck as a bit of a pod. He didn't go fantastic. Didn't score too much more than Trebojevic, to be honest, but that's all right. We take what we can get. We went for a pod. It didn't completely backfire, so that's fine. But yeah, really happy with this score at the moment. 1,021, moving up in the ranks. It's a small green arrow, but honestly, it wasn't the best week. Happy to just have green arrows regardless. We've still only used the one boost. So let's get straight into it and go through my little team review, talk through how my players went. Oh, this is good. This is great content. There it is. All right, so in my hooker position, Brandon Smith. Was feeling him. I tipped him in the bets. I talked about him. I thought he was crossing for a try in this one, and he did just that. Still only a 64 with a try. The try bailed me out big time. He did not have a good score going into halftime. He didn't take a run at all in that first half of footy for the Roosters. And we know if you've got Brandon Smith as a player, you need him to be taking runs. That's where his points come from. Their tackle breaks, their offloads, they just hit up meters. He doesn't get a run, and he scores pretty poorly. So lucky he did get that try. It did very much bail me out. But 64, we're happy with that. Joey Lussick, not so happy with that. 29 points from Joey Lussick. I did play him again. Not sure how we will in this next week. I'm pretty light on players, which we'll get to. But yeah, 29 from Joey Lussick, not good. Let's check his break-even quickly. So he now has a break-even of 58. So Joey Lussick, this could be his peak. I don't suppose he'll lose too much money from here, but 417,700. That might be Joey Lussick's peak. This could be the time to get off, but there's a few other issues in people's teams and in my team, so I don't think I'll be looking to trade him just yet, but we'll hopefully look to do that in the coming rounds because 29, it's not good enough. My front rowers, Terrell May, we spoke about him in the review podcast from a eye test of how he sort of helped or hindered the Roosters' attacking structures. Not a good game from Terrell May, but as a Supercoach player, I loved it. So many runs, so many tackles, 77 points for Supercoach. Love that for Terrell May. That is massive. He's up to 517,000. Probably still has a low break even. 32. Yeah, he's going to keep climbing realistically. So that's so good. Meanwhile, Tavita Totola, as I said, we know what we get from him. I think 48 actually might be his highest score of the season, in fairness. I'm happy to just keep chugging along with around about that 50. Not that he's hit a 50 yet, but around about, those sort of mid-40s, just until I can flog him off. I think eventually, hopefully, Josh Curran will get dual and we'll move him into that position. But for now, I'm just going to take whatever stock standard points I can get. My other front rowers, they're a shit show. Sam Hughes, the slam dunk pink, I labelled him in the preseason, and I think everybody else labelled him. Not so much. He's actually started to lose cash. He's gained 4,000 in total, and he just lost 7,800. He's, 243K. He scored 13 on the weekend. Not that I played him, but he was meant to be a moneymaker. It's not looking that way at the moment, so really not happy with how Sam Hughes is going. I am looking to trade him, but we will get to Teamless Tuesday news. He has been named to start. Let's see if that makes a difference. He can have one more week. He can't lose too much more cash, let's be honest. Meanwhile, my other front rower, Pawasa Farmasili, he's still in the team. He can stay there, honestly. I might look to trade him down the track. But for now, he's not losing cash. He's not an AE nightmare. He's just there, and he's almost bottom dollar, so he's staying there for now. There's no good front row options, so I'm happy to run one nuff. Ideally, I would have loved to have turned Sam Hughes into Liam Henry, which, as you guys know, if you watch these ones, I boosted for 2 weeks back, and I reversed the boost because I'm like, I don't want to use a boost on a bloody front rower. I actually didn't even trade Sam Hughes. I traded Pawasa for him. I wish I did it, but oh well, you live and you learn. We'll move into the second rowers. It's even more of a shit show here. Josh Curran, 54, fantastic. He's just doing what I need him to. Excuse me. Bo Fermor, 39. He's looking to be on the chopping block, not this week, but probably in a week or two. And Ben Trebojevic, his minutes are down. He played about 46, 49 minutes on the weekend. It's not good enough. 36 points. 36 points in that amount of time. That's fantastic. That's cool. But I don't want 36 points. I want more. And I don't want 49 minutes. I want more. So he is going to be one of my trades this week when we get into it. Morgan Smithies, 43. This is what we expect from him. Break even of 37. He'll hit that. But this is sort of where he's going to max out around that 400K by the looks of things. Only making about 50K for us owners. It is what it is. He's not going to lose too much cash. I'll look to trade him on in the future. Joe Chan didn't play, is still out injured for the Storm, so he's going to sit there for a bit longer. And Viliami Fafita, he's enough at the moment, but he's not my favourite enough because he can come into the side. He can force his way into this Dragon side and be an AE nightmare for me, which he was when I looped Cleary 2 weeks ago. In terms of my halves, Nico Hines, he's sort of back. 94 points. That is fantastic. I watched the game. He was really, really good from an NRL standpoint. I didn't realise how much of that was going to translate to Supercoach points. 94 points is really, really good. I'm so happy with that. Luke Brooks, brought him in for that Dragons clash in the Nathan Cleary trade, hoping he would absolutely blitz it. And we know what happened there. Dragons decided they were the better team. You know what? Manly just decided they were awful. So 29 points from Luke Brooks, not very good. And he's got Penrith this week, so it's a bit scary owning Luke Brooks now, but we've done that. We'll live and die by that trade until Cleary comes back, and hopefully I can trade him on from there. Dylan Brown now playing halfback for the Eels. Looked really good from the eye test from an NRL standpoint. 42 points. Didn't look very good for a Supercoach standpoint, unfortunately. So not great from Dylan Brown. He's averaging 54 to start this season. Not great. Our other 5'8" that we brought in, who everyone should have brought in, Lachlan Galvin, he scored 66 with a sin bin, but now he is missing 2 weeks with suspension for that hip drop. So obviously you're just going to leave him there and set and forget. He's going to make you so much cash along the way. But really gutting, because honestly, I would be looking to play him this week with how dire my team is. But 66 points, really good for that money-making credentials. In my centre wings, we've got a few scores here. We have a 59 from Valentine Holmes, a 59 from Jesse Ramian, and a 58 from Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, who, of course, was my captain. So double that. That's what, 116. Happy with those, you know. Val scored a try for his, but it came with no line break or anything. It's fine. I don't mind that as a score. The reason I brought in Val is mainly for this next game against the Titans, where I think I'll look to captain him. Roger, obviously I wanted more than 58, but that was 58 in base. He ran for just under 300 metres, 10 tackle breaks or something like that. Fantastic stuff from him. I would have liked more, but honestly, when he's doing that in base, that's awesome. And Jesse Ramian, similar sort of stuff. This is why I went Ramian as a pod. I thought he'd have these constant 50, like 40s, 50s, 60s in him with like no attacking stat or no heavy attacking stats, no tries, no try assists, that sort of stuff. And he does that, which is awesome. It's a shame he's on the bye now and he hasn't, I bought him for the Sharks opening draw. He kicked on as much as I would have liked. I would have liked to see some 80s in that. But I'm going to keep him for a long while. I might keep him, maybe not for the season, but definitely up until probably that first bye. I think I like how the Sharks look through that bye period. So I'm going to keep him for a while longer. When he's scoring 59s, that's fine. Taylor May, 27. This is getting a little bit worrying. The Panthers just aren't going his way, to be honest. They've been targeting different areas. They've been targeting Isaac Tungo and Sunia Taruva on the right-hand side. So 27 from Taylor May. It's getting a bit worrying. I'm going to leave him for a little bit longer, I think. He can make something happen. He's not the most pressing issue in my side at the moment, so we'll leave him there. But 27, not happy with that. Jesse Arthurs scored another try and still only managed 32. This is about his price. Yep, 48 break even. He might be able to hit that. But honestly, I'm looking to move him on when we get to my trades. He might be one of the ones to go this week. Jack Bostock, he scored 84. I thought he had a really poor game, to be honest. Not a really poor game, but a pretty poor game. Just from a viewer, from an NRL standpoint. Lots of drop balls, but he's got a couple of meat pies, and that's fantastic for Supercoach. 84 points from Jack Bostock. So he's got a minus 41 break even. He's got a lot more money making left in him, which is awesome. And Ethan Strange, 46 from him. Really happy with that. He's going to keep making us money. 21 break even. He'll smash that out, I'm sure. But I think there's a few more big games coming in Ethan Strange. So I think he can get up above that 400K at any given point soon. So fine with that for money making. Obviously didn't play them. Jack Bostock, he did get a reserve. So the 84 from Bostock, that did count towards my points for those listening and can't see. In terms of fullbacks, James Tedesco, he had some attacking stats taken away from him, which fair enough. Honestly, I'm not too fussed about that. I'd probably complain if they were given to anyone else. I just would have liked to keep them for Tedesco, but he scored me 47. He was my VC. Obviously not taking that as a loop. But turns out maybe my other fullback I should have VC'd or should have captained. Kalen Ponga, 117 from KP in a losing effort against the Warriors. Watching Roger and KP go up against it when I knew I'd captained Roger and could have VC'd Ponga. Upsetting, but I don't think I would have looped 117 from Ponga anyway. I don't know. Regardless, we're happy with that. It's torturing non-owners now, people who sold him. Tough luck to you. I have no sympathy. So, that's how my team sort of went for the week. Of course, that was the 1,021 score for round 4. Now, we want to go through some Team List Tuesday news. I'm going to try and fly through this one because, as I said, I am really short on time today. Normally, I have this all written up. I've actually just got the NRL page open on this screen now, so I'm just going to read what they say. So, Storm, 3 big inclusions for the Storm. Cameron Munster, Jerome Hughes, and Christian Welch are all back on deck. Tyron Wishart goes to the bench. Jonah Pezzett drops to the reserves. Chris Lewis is 18th man. Kane Bradley drops out. So, that's fantastic stuff to see Cameron Munster back. But as I said, we're trying to fly through this. I've already put up posts on this. If you haven't seen the Instagram, go check that out. That's where I do my posts, and you can see all this stuff without having to wait for a Supercoach content. If you have seen that, you can skip through this. I have the timestamps in the description of this podcast, or just along the bottom. You can just navigate through that. So if you don't want to hear all this team list stuff, you can head past this. But I'll keep going. For the Broncos, one change to the side that downed the Cowboys with young forward Benjamin Takura, named to make his NRL debut off the bench after being 18th man last week. He comes in for Xavier Willison, who will miss the game after suffering a head knock at training. Awesome to see that for Takura. Not much Supercoach relevant there. You'd assume it's only for the 1 week. Then Willison probably comes back next week. I obviously you'd give it a few weeks anyway to see how he goes. On to the Bulldogs and Roosters news. For the Bulldogs, Josh Adokar is out with concussion, so Blake Wilson is back into the starting side on the wing. Jacob Preston is out with a broken jaw. Curtis Morin is out with suspension. So Josh Curran joins the starting pack in number 12. Harrison Edwards and Kitione Kotonga come onto the bench. Also some really cool stuff there. Good to see Kotonga get his debut, the Fijian. He looked really good in the trials. Again, not going to look at him until he gets extended game time and gets a good run in this side. But just good from an NRL standpoint to see him make his debut. Good for current owners like myself. I think it'll be good for current owners. I assume he'll play 80 on that edge now, which is awesome. For the Roosters, Lindsay Collins returns after missing the Panthers game due to a hamstring injury. Terrell May goes to the bench. Egan Butcher drops to the reserves. Angus Crichton has been named to start in the back row with Satili Tupanua moving to the bench. Really cool stuff for Angus Crichton, I love that. I actually mentioned that in my review podcast that I think the Roosters should do that and they should have moved him to starting second row, especially off the back of how he played last week in his 26-minute spell. I didn't expect them to do it, but they must listen to the podcast because they did it. In terms of the Terrell May stuff to the bench, don't think it really matters. He might go back to 60s and not 77. But we know we bought him as a bench player in the first place. We're happy to have Terrell off the bench. The Knights and the Dragons. Jackson Hastings has been recalled for the Newcastle Knights. He replaces Tyson Gamble. However, it's Jack Cogger who moves into the 5'8" role. Hastings is back at halfback for the Knights. I've been calling for this one too. I thought Gamble has been pretty poor this year, unfortunately. I'm a Tyson Gamble fan. I love what he brings, the energy he brings to the team. But I just think he's missing a few things. And Jackson Hastings has looked really good, especially when he was dropped to reserve grade and he played well there. Regardless, we keep going. Dane Gagai returns from the medical conditions. He's back in the centres. Jaden Brayley is now starting at hooker, which is awesome because I thought he looked really good in his spell there last week. And I thought after last week where he was, last year where he was fantastic, I thought Phoenix Crossland hasn't been good at all this year. So I think this is a change that will really help the Knights. Not sure what it means for Supercoach. Maybe we can pick up Brayley for cheap. I might have a look in that when we get to my trades. Also, Leo Thompson's back from suspension. For the Dragons, only the one change. Hame Sele has been dropped back to the reserves. Michael Molo replaces him on the bench. Nothing of Supercoach note there. The Rabbitohs and the Warriors. Alex Johnston is out for a fair few weeks with a hamstring injury. I think it's about 6 weeks they're expecting. So it was Isaac Thompson. It is now Isaac Tuitupo Thompson. I'm sorry if I butchered that, but I do want to try and get these names correct. He gets the call up on the wing. Maybe a potential start. Who knows? The Rabbitohs need to actually show something for me to consider that. Shaq Mitchell is out with a HIA, and Sean Kepi returns onto the bench. Not much of note there. For the Warriors, big news, Charles Nickel Klukstad. He's named for the first time for 2024. So Roger goes back to centre, which is fine for us, to be honest. Obviously, we'd prefer him at fullback, but he's shown enough at centre. And Tamari Martin comes into the side at 5'8". Luke Metcalf is going to miss. He's expected back in late season. Really sad, really disappointing stuff for people who went on Metcalf. I was considering it. I was talking about it in my other podcasts. He's been fantastic, and I really liked him as a pod shout. Really unlucky for you guys. I feel sorry for you. The other one, Kirk Apewell, he's out with concussion, so just the 1 week. So Nia Corday starts in second row, and Tom Ale and Freddie Lussick join the bench. So not too much of note for the Warriors either, just the Roger and CNK news. For the Seagulls and the Panthers, Seagulls have not made a single change despite the loss to the Dragons. I respect that. While the Panthers, they welcome back James Fisher-Harris into the front row. So Maverick Guy drops out of the bench and Lindsay Smith Maverick Guy drops out of the side and Lindsay Smith drops back to the bench. Maybe might mean decreased minutes for Liam Henry. Who knows? I don't own him, so it's not really my problem. But I'd still play him. Like, this is better. If I owned him, I'd play him over bloody Tavita Totola, to be honest. So the Dolphins and the West Tigers. We've got the 2-game suspension for Max Plath. Obviously, another hip drop there. Really ugly one. That's fine. All for that. Ray Stone, he's back at lock for the Dolphins. Kenny Bromwich joins the bench. For the Tigers, speaking of another hip drop suspension, Lachlan Galvin, he's banned for 2 games for a hip drop, so that's unfortunate for us. That means Jaden Sullivan, he goes to 5'8" for the Tigers, and Latu Fino joins the bench for his debut. Alex Twal also joins back from concussion, so Asu Kapoa drops out of the side. And is this the final game? No, there's a couple more games. Jeez. It's taken a lot longer than I thought. Cowboys-Titans, what have we got here? The Cowboys have named an unchanged team. Jake Granville plays 200th game for the club off the bench. Good stuff for Jake Granville. Titans, what have they done? Oh, yes, Titans have made a few changes. So Alofiana Khan-Pereira has been dropped, our cheapie from last year. He's out. So Harley Smith Shields is in, and Philip Sami is out with an ankle injury. I believe that was from that hip drop tackle from Max Plath. So not sure how long it's going to keep him out. He still managed to play the full game and chalk up over 220 odd meters. So hopefully not too long for Philip Sami. But that means Jojo Fafita and Harley Smith Shields come on. just keep an eye on where they play, because whoever's not lining up on the right-hand side will probably get replaced by Philip Sammy when he comes back. But whoever's on the left, they could be a cheapy option if they can keep that position from AKP for a substantial period. Hopefully it's Harley Smith-Shields. I believe he is cheaper than Jojo Fafita, but I also rate Jojo Fafita more as a player. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. The other one is, of course, David Fafita. He's named off the bench again. He played 55 minutes straight for the Titans last week. He looked really good in that time. Keep an eye on him. We'll probably look to buy him, especially with how dire second row is as well. So keep an eye on that. Isaac Liu out with concussion. Jolliffe moves into the prop position. Aaron Clark starts at lock. And Josiah Pahulu called in to make his debut for them from the interchange. I didn't catch that one when I did my stuff, so apologies to Josiah Pahulu. That's an incredible achievement for you. And, fantastic for you to make that debut. For the Raiders and the Eels, what have we got? One change for Ricky Stewart with Zach Hosking out with concussion. So Ata Mariota comes into the starting side at second row, and Simi Sasangi comes onto the bench for his club debut for the Raiders. Awesome stuff there. While for the Eels, Bailey Simonson, he's been recalled in the centres. Morgan Harper is dropped out of the side. Bryce Cartwright, who was a late withdrawal last week, he is still out of the side. So Wiramu Greg is in the 17 on the bench, and Brendan Hands drops out. Brendan Hands dropping out means we'll get 80 minutes for Lussick, hopefully. So, that's why we can keep him for a little bit longer. But, yeah, that is all the news for round 5, heading into round 5. So, let's talk trades. Now, I have a couple. There's a couple glaring ones for me. First of all, we know Ben Trebojevic, he has to go. So, as you can see, if you're watching, if you're just listening, Trebojevic, he is out of here. Let's sort it by round 4 points, because I'm pretty sure he scored relatively well. Kai Pearce-Paul, we missed his price rise last week. We talked about it, though. We're going to happen to miss the one and jump on him straight after. He put out a 65 in base. He's still got a -2 break even. So I've missed 96,000 in price rises for him, which is unfortunate, but I'm not going to miss any more. Oh, I'm actually $20, 20 grand short. So let's do the other trade while we're here. Jesse Arthurs, he hasn't been an issue in my side. Honestly, Taylon May might be more of an issue. Let's cancel the trades for a second. What is the draw looking like? Sorry, I am now going to look at the left-hand screen. So, obviously, Broncos have Storm this week, so not ideal for Arthurs. Panthers have Seagulls, not ideal for them, but there's also the Panthers. Next week, the Broncos have the Dolphins, so Arthurs could score some points, while the Panthers have the bye. And then the week after, the Broncos have the Raiders, and the Panthers have the West Tigers. I'm going to switch up. I am going to sell Taylor May because I think he's going to lose cash, while Jesse Arthurs could actually potentially just hold around that. So let's start with this trade instead. Let's go sort it by average. Taylor May is out. We will bring in, where is he? You should probably take a guess as to who is coming in for me. But that, of course, will be young Blaze Talangi. He is just about due for his price rise. He's expected to keep lining up at 5/8 for the Raiders. He has been named there again. So he'll get a price rise this week. Looks to be a good little cheapy option for us. I'm not going to play him, am I? Who have the Eels got? You know what? He's actually a potential play. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. And, of course, that frees up a lot of cash where I can go Ben Trebojevic to Kai Pearce-Paul. There we go. It leaves me 223,000 left in the bank. I'm not going to boost this week, though it is quite tempting. I just don't really know who I could go to. I guess I could go Jesse Arthurs to anything else. But again, Jesse Arthurs, least of my worries. I could go Morgan Smithies, both for more. I could boost, get rid of them for anyone else. For Jaden Sewer, I've been speaking really highly of him as a potential option. I don't think I'm going to boost. I don't think it's something that's necessarily needed for me this week. It might strengthen the team, but who knows when these boosts are going to come in handy. So those are going to be my two trades for the week. Kai Pearce-Paul, he comes in for Ben Trebojevic. And, of course, Blaze Talangi comes in as a late switch because, of course, I wasn't going to do it. But Talangi comes in for Taylon May. Now, let's look at sit v starts and reserve options. So there's going to be a lot of people in tough boats. There's going to be people, as you can see, for me, Sharkies players, they're all on the bye. So I got no Hines. Luke Brooks, you're my starting halfback. Tough, but it is what it is. At least it's a halfback. People who held Nathan Cleary and own Nico Hines, they're copping AEs, and I think I'd prefer Luke Brooks over an AE, but maybe not. He could score pretty poorly against Penrith, but I'm going to trust in him. Jesse Ramian, obviously, my pod. We're without him this week. So my starting side is Holmes. My starting centre wingers, Valentine Holmes, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, Jesse Arthurs, Jack Bostock. Not ideal. Ethan Strange, who have the Raiders got? Do I go Ethan Strange over Jesse Arthurs? I will, yes. I'm going to switch it up. Jesse Arthurs against the Storm. I don't like it. Let's go the two young fellas and Blaze Talangi and Ethan Strange to score this. Well, not score, but at least play in my team this week. So, excuse me there. So 2 money makers, 2 cheapies in my sit v starts. I hate my second row. I hate my it's a tough year this year. Would I prefer to play Joey Lussick? Yes. I think I prefer Joey Lussick over Morgan Smithies. So if you're in that same boat, Smithies, he's certain to get you around that 40 to 50, which is great if you want to just lock that in. Nothing wrong with that. Lussick, of course, we can see can go lower. Lussick looks close to a few attacking stats every time. He likes a dart from dummy half, which can normally be a try. He will play the 80 this time. He only played about 60 on the weekend. So 80, that'll get him a few more points. Happy to play him. Roosters have the Bulldogs. So obviously, Brandon Smith, he's staying in my team for a couple weeks maybe. What's his break even now? 30? Yeah, he'll get another little price rise. Not that I'm really keeping him for that. Of course, we can see here, Nico Hines cannot be a reserve. So now it's about, do I play Jesse Arthurs against the Melbourne Storm or do I play Morgan Smithies? I am going to throw my last reserve on Morgan Smithies. I don't trust Arthurs against the Storm. What was the break even again? 48. So he might lose a little bit of cash. Not enough to make me lose on him overall. But it's a tough week for me in terms of sit-v starts. If you're in the same boat with me where you're short on a few Sharkies players, lots of injuries, lots of suspensions. Like, look at this. If you're looking, you can see this. But we have Ramian out with a bye, Galvin out with suspension, Hines out with a bye. Viliami Fafita wouldn't play anyway, but there's another player out on my team. Joe Chan out with injury, Puasa Farmasili out with just not being named, and then Sam Hughes, who I wish would be out because I don't want his 13 points. It's a tough week. I don't have many options. There's going to be a lot of other people that are in that boat. So maybe I do end up making a boost, but for right now, I'm gonna sit on that. I'll have a think about it, and I'll let you guys know via Instagram. So if you want to know any late changes I do to the side, get over onto Instagram and give me a follow there, and we'll talk about it there. But Sit-V starts this week. It's going to be very difficult with all the injuries and suspensions and buys, and I know I'm not not the only one in that boat. So yeah, we'll have to just keep an eye on all that sort of stuff. But that one will wrap us up for the Sit-V starts. In terms of captain options for this week, I want to put out I want to put in an apology for all the captain shouts that I've talked about this year. I've said Nico Hines for like the first 3, and he didn't do anything. And then I said Tom Trbojevic was a slam dunk last week, and I was terrified to not own him, and he didn't do anything. So while I've been the one telling people, well, not been the one telling people, but, I've been giving advice saying, do this, do that, I think this is a good option. I haven't followed any of that advice. I've not once captained Hines when I've said that he's going to be the best option. I couldn't captain Trbojevic last week, and I've escaped all of that really, really well. So it's almost like I'm trying to give you guys some false information or throw you off the scent. Yeah, go this, so I can literally do the opposite. I just make rash decisions right before a game. I go off vibes. I get a gut feeling. I go, you know what? I want to change something up. So my captain options this year have been really, really good for me. This week's score of Roger was my least, I think, round 1 actually was, but everybody went to horrible round 1. But yeah, this week's score of Roger was my least, but it still beat the captain option in Trbojevic. So maybe don't listen to my captain options because, yeah, I thought Trbojevic was going to be unstoppable last week. Turns out he just wasn't, which is unlucky. In terms of what I'm doing this week, now, Newcastle have the Dragons, and Dragons put up a good fight, but so did the Warriors, and KP pulled out 117 against the Warriors in a losing effort. So I think I'm going to put the VC on Kalen. Oh, then Teddy has the Bulldogs, though. Who do I trust more? No, I think that is tough. I can't captain or VC both because they're both fullbacks. So that's going to be frustrating. That's all right. I think I'm going to put the captain on Valentine Holmes this week. In the Sunday game, the late Sunday game, the only Sunday game. No, there's 2 Sunday games. The early Sunday game, the Cowboys take on the Titans. I love Val as a captain option there. So that's the whole reason I brought him in last week with my Nathan Cleary money. So he is getting the C this week. I'm going to VC Ponga over Tedesco, but I do think James Tedesco is a really great shout for those of you who do own James Tedesco. I don't think there's too many people running. What have we got here? He's in 17% of teams, Tedesco. That's wild. I started the season with him when he was at 4% ownership. So I'm really, really blessed with that. I haven't traded any of my fullbacks. I know a lot of people are playing around with that sort of stuff. If you own Ponga and Tedesco, you're in a similar boat to me. It's just back your gut, back your vibe. I think both can explode. For me, I like Ponga a little bit more just because he's a goal kicker, despite the fact Tedesco's been having a better season. And I'd argue the Dragons are a stronger team than the Bulldogs. But we know, as I said, we just saw what Kalen Ponga scored against the Warriors in a team that, lost. The Knights lost to the Warriors, and Ponga scored 117. So I can definitely see him doing that against the Dragons. I can see them winning against the Dragons. I can see them putting more points on and him getting more points in goal kicks. So that's my preference out of those two. But if you're in a boat where you don't own both of them and you just own one, go for that one. But I'd still throw the VC on them instead of a C just because they're in their early games. They're both Friday games, so you've got a lot of the round to go for after them. In terms of the other big fullback options, your Tom Trbojevic, they take on the Panthers this week. I still don't hate it because I think after him having the worst performance I've ever seen, he's going to want to fire back, and I think he stands up against tough competition. It's not ideal, though, because we know what Penrith do. They shut everyone down, and I think they will do their best to shut Trbojevic down. But if you have that feel, if you have that gut feel that Trbojevic is going to kill it, that he's going to explode, that he's going to bounce back, I don't hate that. Back your gut in there. Anywhere else in terms of guns, obviously we've got no Cleary anymore. We've got no Hines on the bye. So there's the big guns gone. Scotty Drinkwater. If you own Scott Drinkwater as of one of your fullbacks, I love him as a captain option, especially against the Titans. I don't own him, obviously. We've talked about my fullbacks, but if you do own him, I'd put the C on him. If you're in a boat where you own him and either a Tedesco or a Ponga, you're in a bit of, not curry, but you're in a similar boat to me where you can only VC one of those. No, you can't. You could VC one, but then you'd miss out on the captain option on Scott Drinkwater. If you're in that boat, I prefer the C on Drinkwater. I prefer how they go against the Titans. I think the Titans are the worst team in the comp. I also don't like... I'd prefer just putting captains on people that play late in the round so you can have that hope. If you captain someone early and it all stuffs up, or if you VC like a Ponga or a Tedesco and they don't go well, you're stopped from doing the captain on Drinkwater because they're both fullbacks. So in that area, it's almost ruining your week. Well, I know it does for me. I try not to let it, but it does for me. So if you've got a Drinkwater, captain him. He's a good option. Beyond that, there's not too many other ones. In terms of a pod option, I'm not sure what there is. You could go... It's very pod, and especially because there are other options knocking about. But I like the idea of Sean Johnson. Now that he's goal kicking, they've got the Rabbitohs this week. Rabbitohs got their first win. I'm not convinced on the Rabbitohs. I've said that in every other one of my podcasts. I'm very worried about that squad. I don't mind Sean Johnson as a VC or a captain option, but it's hard to say you should do that when there's a lot more other, really standout options this week. But honestly, guys, just back your gut in. That's the only advice. That's the best advice I can give in Supercoach at the best of times. Definitely just back your gut in on that. If you have any other options or things that you're thinking, swing me a DM on Instagram at Chip and Chase Podcast, and we can talk about that. In terms of other trade talks that I may have glossed over, we can look at the most traded out and in. Lussig's being traded out by 1.8% of players. Not a bad shout. As I said, it's sort of his peak price. Luke Brooks, he's been traded out. I mean, I'm not going to do it simply because I just brought him in, but I think there's more left in the tank. Bo for more, yep, fine with that. I don't want for more, but I might keep him for another week. I might not. I might trade him. Who have the Dragons got? Knights. I might trade him to Jaden Sewer because he's my pod. Should I boost? Oh, look, I'll let you guys know on Instagram. Arthur's happy for that trade. Smithies, he can stay. Justin Olam is the most brought in that I'm not bringing in. I like that. He's averaging... he's not averaging too much. He scored 4 tries in 2 games, by the way, guys. So for him to only have an average of 82.5 when he scored 4 tries in 2 games, it's not great. The point is he has a minus 40 break even, so he's going to go up a lot of money. And the Tigers look good. They're using him well. It's not a bad shout. I'm not going to do it, but it's tempting. I could, it's tempting. There's so many options. You know what? The more I think about it, the more I am tempted to boost. But once again, I will leave that for later. In terms of these other options, people looking to bring in Pappy. I don't hate it. I don't know who you're trading to him, though. I've seen people trading Trbojevic. I would not be trading Trbojevic. I'm not trading Ponga. I'm not trading Tedesco. I'm not, I don't know. There's not too many fullbacks I'd like to trade down to Ryan Papenhuyzen. But people are doing it. If that's the vibe you're going for, back your gut in. Hamaso, people are looking to bring him in. -1 break even, so money to be made. I think he's chasing his last points. He's playing well, sure. He's got the Tigers. The Tigers aren't a pushover by any means by the looks of things. So I'm not the biggest fan of the Hammer trade, but worst comes to worst, you will make money from it and he could explode. So there's potential there. Tom Flegler, the man who I had in my preseason team the entire time, didn't go with him, and here he is, going really well. He's a really good option. I don't know. Yeah, you'd have to be trading some front rowers around. I don't know what there is. But that one sort of wraps us up for this one. I'd like to talk more. There's a lot more things that I'd like to chat about. But I have a really busy day. I should have ended this podcast 10 minutes ago, to be honest. So thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, if you're not following me on Instagram, please go give me a follow. We've got more content there. Looking to do a bit more Supercoach content in the coming couple weeks and make that a bit more regular. So that's just more for you guys. Might answer a few more questions for you. But thank you guys for tuning into this one. And I'll see you guys next time.